In the previous video, we learned how to display things using the Ruby P keyword. So if we say P2000 and we hit the play button in the terminal, we get the number 2000 in the terminal. Now, what would happen if we decided to be devious little mad scientists and change this P from a lowercase p to an uppercase P? There's only one way to find out. We're going to hit the play button, close your eyes, and instead of getting the expected 2000, we get a little bit of gobbledygook, which says traceback most recent call last main.rb 1 in. Main undefined method P for main object, no method error. Did you mean PP exit status 1? That is very much not a 2000. Instead, that is what we call, my friends, an error message, meaning we triggered an error. We did something that Ruby cannot comprehend. The computer has no idea what the capital P means. Now, Ruby, like many programming languages, is case sensitive. So a lowercase p is not at all the same as an uppercase p. The lowercase p is a valid Ruby keyword that means to print something to the terminal, whereas an uppercase p means nothing in Ruby, and Ruby blows up with this error message saying, I do not know what this capital P is. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. While most people think that errors are bad and that error messages are scary things because it seems to admonish you and say, hey, you did something wrong, the reality is that error messages are your friends. Because imagine that the program simply didn't work at all. It would be very difficult to diagnose what went wrong. Instead, the error message is our friendly message that says, hey, this is what went wrong. Undefined method capital P. That is fancy talk for saying, I, Ruby, hereby am informing you that I do not know what a capital P means. In which case, we would go back and say, capital P, where did we put a capital P? Oh, there's our capital P. That needs to be corrected to a lowercase p. After which we run our code, and we get the 2000 that we expected. Now let's go back to the error message. Let's trigger it again by making the capital P. Indeed, there is quite a bit of gobbledygook, and we're not going to explain every last word of this error message at this time. But for now, we are going to focus on two components. The first is, as stated before, undefined method means that we wrote something that is not part of the Ruby language. It is not valid Ruby syntax. In this case, it's undefined method capital P. In other words, that the capital P is not part of the Ruby language, and Ruby doesn't know what to do with that little piece of code that we wrote. The second aspect of the error message that I'd like to point out, if you will note, right over here, there is a number 1. What that indicates is to say that the error that we're encountering is taking place as a result of something that is wrong on line number 1 of our code. Now, you may have not noticed this previously, but as we write our code in the text editor, we have a column that indicates the line number that we're up to. So as we write code, we have the capital P2000, that takes place on line 1. But I could say P1 plus 1, that's on line 2. P9 divided by 3, that's on line 3, etc., etc. Now, since the error message tells us that there's something wrong on line 1, it allows us to see that the problem that we're facing is taking place on line 1. So instead of looking for a needle in a haystack, we can zero in and see that, hey, there's a capital P that's not supposed to be there on line 1. To demonstrate this more clearly, I'm going to go ahead and fix the uppercase P and change it to a lowercase p as it should be. But then introduce an uppercase P on line 4. Now, I'm going to hit the play button and watch what happens. We actually get the 2002 and 3 successfully printed out, but we get an error message that says undefined method, capital P, Where is that capital P? If you look, we can see that the error message is telling us where it is. It's on line 4. So this is a beautiful thing. This is why the error message is your friend. If it did not tell you which line it was on, we'd have to look through all of our lines of code carefully and inspect them and look for the errant capital P. But we don't have to do that because the error message says, hey, the capital P exists on line 4. So we can just go straight to line 4 and notice, hey, they're right, there is a capital P there. Let's go ahead and fix that to be a lowercase p. Now when we hit the play button, the code works perfectly.